actually
evening.
hear me? Yeah,
We
good
can
evening,
hear you.
everybody. Okay,
Good
good.
evening.
Yeah.
So my live stream is going.
So my name is Engineer Kela Emmanuel, and I will be taking us on asset management, facility condition assessment, and plumbing, stroke, plumbing, water treatment plants, and sewage treatment plants. So I've been facilitating with Max-Migold for couples of years, and by and large, I should be talking about over 25 years of experience, both in facility management, operation and maintenance, and mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. So this is all you needed to know about me. At least currently, I'm a member of Coren and a certified maintenance and reliability professional. I'm a member of Association of Asset Management Professionals and Institute of Electric Technology and as well. So I'm also a member of IFMA, that is International Facility Management as well. So that is everything we need to know about me. Please, for the next 1 hour, I'm going to be engaging us. Then when it's exactly 6 o'clock, we're going to have a 10 minutes recess. We'll come back, try to see I can wrap up the class by 6:45 so that we can have at least 15-minute question and answer section before we actually finally call it a day. So, but in case you have any question you need to like ask, please try to like pen your question down. Then during the question and answer section, I will definitely call on you to push up your questions. So we're actually going to be dealing with asset management today, and the area we will be covering include the economic objective with higher resale value. Then critical value plays on an asset and inventory. The difference between an asset and an inventory. What is an asset? What is an inventory? And what do you classify as a consumable? Then how do you improve efficiency, performance, and utilization of an asset? How you can facilitate asset data collection, then asset commissioning, maintenance and operation, the commissioning or what you call a salvage, then asset depreciation method, asset valuation, enhancing the life cycle of an asset, how you can improve operational performance and efficiency of an asset, and method and way through which you can integrate your asset management analog that you're using into a digital format, which is you talking about CMMS and CAFE. CMMS is computerized maintenance management system. Why CAFEM stand for computerized aided facility management. That's computer aided facility management. That is CAFEM. So we'll talk about the content include introduction to asset management. Then second is asset register. Third is asset storage and retrieval method. Then fourth is life cycle asset management. Then the fifth area we're going to cover is asset periodic audit and review. So when we're talking about introduction to an asset, I want to believe with by the end of the class, we will be able to differentiate between what an asset is and what a consumable is. So an asset can be defined as an item, things, or an entity owned by individual, by me or you, or what is owned by a company that the individual or the company and that same asset have the potential of generate economic value for either the organization if it is owned by an organization or for an individual if that particular asset is owned by an individual. It is a resources with an economic value owned with the expectation that it will provide future benefit in terms of cash, cash equivalent, account receivable, inventory, plant and equipment, vehicles, data, samples, the time your asset might not be something that is referred to as physical asset. Physical asset are assets that you can touch, you can hold, but your asset could be liquid in terms of mint, in terms of cash investment, in terms of fixed deposit in an account. These are all an asset. And what are the property of an asset? One, we're talking about the property of an asset include what we refer to as ownership. Ownership means the asset provides ownership that can be turned into cash or cash equivalent. For instance, if Mr. A procure a Toyota Corolla vehicle and he turned this Corolla vehicle into a boat or a Uber taxi or lag ride, Mr. A is the sole proprietor owner of that vehicle. That vehicle is an asset. It is an example of a physical asset. And this asset is in turn generating money for that particular user. Then economic value includes asset has economic value and can be exchanged or sold. For instance, I can decide that if I run a car or I run a generator for a certain period of time, I discover that, oh, I need to get this generator replaced. I can decommission the generator, sell it off if it's in good condition, still recoup some money back, and at the same time, get a new one to replace it. So it has an economic value and can be exchanged or it can be sold. Or for instance, I have a company that can no longer have the financial capacity to run the company. I can exchange that company, sell the company off to another person, collect the money and fix the money into a fixed deposit account while I generate interest from that money. So these are what an asset is. Then third is a resources. Assets are resources that can be used to generate future economic benefit. I could construct a mall, get people to come in to come and rent slots within that mall. And within that short period of time, I had initially borrowed money from bank to execute this project. The rent that I'm retrieving from the renter of tenants who are occupying every shop within that mall, I am using the rent to set off my loan. Then when I eventually pay off the loan, then I can start talking about profitability. So asset is resources and they can be used to generate future economic benefits. Then classification of an asset. We have convertibility, we have physical existence, and we have usage. When you classify an asset in terms of convertibility, it means that an asset is based on how easy it can be converted. You can convert them into cash. I can buy a car. After buying the car, I can sell the car off. I can recoup maybe 200,000 naira, 500,000 naira from the selling of that car. I made a profit. I can turn the same money that I've retrieved from selling off of that car into another what? Getting another vehicle again. Getting another vehicle with that money, I'm retrieving what cash. It can be convertible. Then physical existence. This is classified asset based on their physical existence. These are tangible and intangible assets. These are assets that you can see, you can hold, you can touch. And in terms of usage, classifying an asset based on usage is on the business operational usage and purpose. I made mention of a generator the other time. We have a plant where we are manufacturing pampers. What we're actually manufacturing is pampers, but we need power. Without power, we cannot produce any single unit of pampers. So we already have a generator. This generator is a resources. Fine, the generator is not giving us cash, but the generator is supporting business operation in order for the business to maximize what is called cash flow. So because once the generator is running, the equipment that is producing the pampers will be up and running. Then we have a lot of product to produce. And in doing that, the marketer has units of product to sell to customer. And in selling the product to customer, we are able to retrieve revenue. With that revenue, we start talking about profitability. And with profitability, there is going to be return on investment to people who had put their money in line in order to set up their business. These are areas where assets are being functioning as a resources in terms of usage. Then classification of an asset, we have under convertibility, we have current asset and fixed assets. We have physical assistance, we have which are tangible and intangible. Then we have, in terms of usage, we have operational assets and we have non-operational assets as well. So in an accounting context, using an accounting way to describe an asset, current assets are assets that can be easily converted into cash equivalent typically within a year. Assets are something that can actually generate money for you beyond a 12 calendar month. Their existence, their value goes beyond 12 calendar months. You talk about non-current assets or fixed assets. These are long-time or hard assets, represent assets that cannot be easily or readily converted into cash equivalent. Example is land. Your land is a non-current asset, your machinery, your plant, your trademark, your building. You've already earned a name for yourself. B&B International. And B&B is thriving in terms of oil and gas. Then somebody wants to start using that name. The person needs to start paying you royalty. That name has already become an asset because you are earning money from the usage of that name. Then the other thing is tangible assets. These are assets that have physical existence that we can touch, we can feel, and we can see them. Operating assets are assets used for daily operational purpose in the business environment. Just like I mentioned the other time, your generator is an operating asset. Then other operating assets include your cash, your account receivable, your inventory. These are all operating what assets. Then non-operating assets are assets that not necessarily require for daily operation, but it can generate revenue for the business. Example are short-term investment, vacant or interest income from a fixed deposit. You have a large amount of money that you are not really ready to use at a period of time. You can dump that money into an account and put it under non-operating asset as a fixed deposit. Okay, I'm going to fix this money for a period of 10 years. And you start paying me interest. Then you start recouping your interest possibly after every 90 days or after every 6 months. So the bank is paying you a certain amount of money as an interest on that particular money that you have already fixed. These are all classified under non-operating assets. So we'll talk about what is an asset management. When you're talking about managing an asset, what does it entail? What does it include? Asset management is a coordinated activity of an organization to realize value from that asset. Why is it a coordinated activity? Because it is not a unilateral decision kind of a thing. So we, as a facility manager in a facility environment, how do we manage assets? We said it's a coordinated activity in one sense, because you, as a facility manager, you look after the day-to-day operation and maintenance of that particular asset. An accountant look at the what we call about valuation, what we talk about depreciation, when we talk about profit, calculating of profit and all those stuff. These are completely accounting content. Then you will see that's the reason why they said is a coordinated activity. It's not the sole responsibility of a facility manager alone. And these include the process of deploying an asset for a particular point where it's going to be utilized, operating the asset, how you maintain the asset. Does the asset require an outright replacement, or you can do what we call upgrading, or you can do what we call a revamp? So it's more or less like you're coordinating the entire life of that asset right from when it is procured, when it is installed, when it is commissioned, when you're operating it, and when asset is completely gotten to the expiration of its life cycle and you decided to, oh, I need to sell off this asset. That is what we're calling an asset management. And what are the type of asset management we can talk about? We talk about financial asset management. This can either be active or passive. It's an asset manager that deal with investment management. Mr. A has a billions of naira in his account that he cannot utilize currently, and he saw a very good opportunity in May and Baker pharmaceutical industry. And because me and Baker are trying to like expand their production facility, and Mr. A and B said, okay, I can swing into this. Let me drop this money that I'm not utilizing now into me and Baker factory expansion. So I have a certain percentage of their profit that is coming back to me at a period of time. So it could be a 2 years period, it could be a 3 years period. Then we're talking about infrastructural management, infrastructure asset management. Like Lagos Ibadan Expressway is an infrastructure to federal government of Nigeria. Lagos State Water Corporation is an infrastructure to Lagos State government. Lagos State government can decide that, okay, fine, the Water Corporation in Lagos State will start distributing water to every household in Lagos State, and these will be metered. So your consumption, you are going to be billed based on your consumption, and whatever you use at the end of the month, Lagos State is going to actually one way or the other charge you for that usage. They are trying to recoup money in order for them to settle all the investment costs they have invested in setting up the entire treatment plant, and also to maximize profit out of it. So water facilities, sewage line, road, utility like the national grid is an infrastructure to federal government of Nigeria. Railway from Lagos to Ajaokuta, from Lagos to Abuja is an infrastructure to federal government of Nigeria. And in order for them to pay off the loan and also maximize profit from what they have set up, that's why when you're going from Lagos to Abuja, you have a certain amount of money you have to pay as a transportation fare. Then we have enterprise asset management. It is an asset information system that support the management of an organization asset, which include your assets registry, which we are going to discuss, and also your inventory management as well. Then we have physical plant asset management. This is the practice of managing the entire life cycle. When you're talking about the life cycle of an asset, you're talking about from the designing stage, from the production stage down to the production stage, down to the installation stage or commissioning stage, operation and maintenance, the commissioning or salvage of an asset. So this is physical asset management, which is talking about the design, construction, commissioning, operating, maintaining, repair, modifying, replacement, the commissioning and disposal of an asset. You can dispose of an asset and recoup money back into the organization. You can as well dispose of an asset and still spend money in disposing of the asset. Now we have real estate asset management. This is an art of providing property level performance, which also include managing of the asset, leasing of the property, or more of property to users. And we have HR asset management as well. Every employee in an organization becomes an asset to that organization. And that's why you see organization that place value on their employee, they see their employee as an asset. You see those employee, they embrace what we call stewardship. They ensure that employee are satisfied. They send employee for training as that went due, and they ensure that employee get the required skill that is going to make them perform at their respective area of responsibility within that organization. And there's no how you're going to talk about asset, you're not going to talk about asset framework. And when we're talking about asset framework, when we're talking about asset framework, ISO 55,000 define an asset management as a coordinated activity, which we have mentioned earlier on, of an organization to realize value from an asset. An asset management framework signify a set of documents, statement that you put in place, processes that you follow that addresses the organization asset management responsibility. It is the sum of the asset management policy asset management strategy, and asset management plan. By the time you sum up this together, it now helps you to determine the modality, the plan, and the processes you are actually going to put in place in order to maximize value from every asset that you own or you have. Asset management framework characteristics are establishment of formal policy and plan, then minimizing an asset portfolio value which include developing a policy to identify the value of assets and also to derive greatest value from that particular asset at the same time. Then this also include the framework also include evaluating and improving asset management practices. Evaluate the performance of the asset management system and also implementation of necessary improvement method, necessary improvement processes, necessary improvement plan that can make that asset and achieve its proposed life cycle. And even during the commissioning, you can still recoup a good financial value from that particular asset. So what is asset management strategy? What are those strategies that just like what we mentioned under the definition of asset? The strategy provides a better and a deep understanding of how you are going to align the asset portfolio with the company vision, mission, and objective so that it best meets the service delivery needs of the organization, both currently and also in the future to come. It also enable the organization asset management policy to be what? To be achieved. These are what your asset management strategies are actually achieving for you. Then, how do you develop your asset management strategy? The way to do this is you need to have a clear understanding of what are the current assets, what are the current condition or situation of that particular, all the assets that you own in that entire organization. And in doing this, you're trying to understand the asset current condition. Then you are trying to determine if the asset currently meet the requirement of the organization, or is the asset going to meet the future requirements of the organization as well? Then the third thing is this third one is still part of what is going to help you to formulate your strategy. Then, do you have the financial base, financial capacity, the funding capacity for operating the asset, for maintaining the asset, and if possible, renewal or remodifying the asset, or can you make the asset availability? These are the three characteristics that helps you when you want to develop your asset management strategy. Then we have asset management and we have facility management. What is the difference between the two? It's not depend on company wise. There are some company that in some company they have an asset management manager separately and they have a facility manager. But in some scenario, some company can decide to put asset management under a facility manager. They can decide to put asset management under a facility manager. It all depends on the company's decision or how expanded the company is. Asset management, the difference between asset management and facility management is the difference is in the scope of application. Asset management is applied to both the core and support business processes because asset management look beyond the asset that the company holds. They still look at other things that are actually generating revenue for the company. Why The facility management is only focusing on supporting business alone. How does this? We have a real estate. This real estate, all the apartments in the real estate are actually meant for rental. So the functionality of the facility management in that sense is to ensure that all the as all those block of flats, both exterior and interior, are in good shape so that the company can maximize money and profit from rental because tenant will be willing to pay for accommodation that meets their requirements. Then on the operational level, facility management and asset management manage many services in the area of maintenance, operations, safety, logistics, and technical infrastructure. So both asset manager and facility manager also use shared management concepts. Because, for instance, we needed to replace an asset. The accountant can ask you question as a facility manager that when was this asset procured? How long have you been using this asset? How much have we expended in terms of maintenance on this particular asset? So an accountant can walk up to you, an asset manager can walk up to you as a facility manager and request for all this information. So both asset manager and facility manager shared valuable information among each other that helps in promoting the service delivery of the entire organization. So five factors that differentiate an asset management from facility management. There are five major factors that determine the difference between an asset management and facility management. One, the type of the asset they manage differentiate them. Somebody is managing a generator in terms of assets as a facility manager is different from somebody who is managing a real estate that is lengthening block of flat to tenant. The kind of asset they manage is different. And this is also different from an accountant who is managing a liquid asset on behalf of an investor. The purpose of that asset that they manage also determine make a difference. The life cycle of the asset for the financial aspect, somebody who invested and is expecting its return after 5 years, different from somebody who has erected a mall. And after this 1 year completion of that mall, it started generating revenue in terms of rent. Then the organization goal of the asset owner also determine, also differentiate between an asset management and also a facility management. Then this assigned scope of operation for the asset they are managing also make a difference between the two of them. So when you're talking about an asset life cycle, let me just quickly explain this slide to us. Let me use the domestic example. When a husband and a wife, they do what is called planning, or we need to have a baby, and they mate. After that, the wife got pregnant. After the pregnancy, 9 months, the wife delivered the baby. After delivering the baby, that is when the baby is giving birth. And in facility management, this represents when the asset was bought, it is installed, and it is commissioned to be used. From the day the asset has been commissioned, it has started its life cycle. Now, when the baby is alive, for the baby to keep itself alive, it has to start doing medical, taking its bath every day, following hygiene, taking care of his body, taking care of his health. But no matter how you do all this, a time is come that old age will actually come to take its toll. And during the old age, you start talking about, okay, should we, after the old age, death will definitely come. When death call, somebody has to do the burial and every other thing. Then bringing this to the facility environment. When the child is born is when the equipment is commissioned for use. When the child is alive, is during the operation and maintenance of that particular asset. When debt costs or when old age costs, that's when we are talking about the asset is already hold, let's decommission it and get another one. Or the asset is can no longer be what usage again, it has what debt. Let's bury the debt and let's get another asset into place. This is just talking about the life cycle of an asset. Then now, the cost you incur during the planning period, during the manufacturing period, during the installation, during the commissioning, operation and maintenance, salvage value, and reselling of the asset. The total amount of money you spend is referred to as total cost of ownership of an asset. So after life cycle, a key a key process within asset management is to understand the asset life cycle. Asset life cycle consists four key stages, which are planning, acquisition, operation and maintenance, and disposal, which I've already explained. So, an effective planning in asset life cycle will help us to do what? What is the advantage or what do we stand to gain when we have an effective asset planning? Access, it helps us to have access to practical sufficiency of an asset at hand. Then it helps us to recognize excess or underperforming assets. It also ensures that assets are maintained and they are reliable. Then understanding and having a good planning ensure that resources are available to maintain that asset as at when necessary or as at when due. Then acquisition. What do we talk about acquisition? That is when you procure an asset, or for instance, company A could no longer have the financial capacity to continue operating, and they decided to sell off that particular plant. So company B acquire that asset is referred to as acquisition. Acquisition is the asset lifecycle cover activities such as the design and procurement. Decision is arrived at only after defining the cost and the requirements. Appropriate application of acquisition will guarantee that the asset is fit for use. Then operation and maintenance. The operation and maintenance stage is the application of management of assets, which include maintenance with the aim of delivering services. Then asset disposal. It stands for disposing of the asset when the asset has already acquired its complete life cycle. It is the end of its useful life in which it will be removed from the service to either be sold or repurposed or recycled, despite the fact that the asset at this stage may have no business value. Safe disposal may still be of paramount requirement. For instance, we have a 10-story building that it can no longer stand the integrity. We did an integrity test and it failed. And the recommendation is that the assets should be what? Brought down and redesigned again. So you can't just get a roadside malam to come and help you bring 10-story building down. In doing this, you might need to get a safety approval. You might need to get a company who are specialized in handling that magnitude of work. Then you might also need some legal approval at the same time. So you are disposing of these assets, but you want to dispose them of in a safe manner. You might still need to spend some money. So all the money you spend during the planning up to the disposal of that asset is completely referred to as total cost of ownership. So during the disposal of an asset, you can still spend money out, or you can use that disposal to recoup money. For instance, you have a fleet of cars whose their value in your accounting book is reading zero. You can get your employee to come and pay for those cars at a cheaper rate. Maybe possibly currently in the market, the car could worth like maybe 10 million naira. You could sell this car because they are already worth old enough. You can sell it to any of your employee or even to outsider, possibly at the rate of maybe 1 million naira or 2 million naira, and still use that to recoup money back into the organization. So during asset disposal, you can sell money out, you can spend money out, and you can still recoup money back into the organization. Then asset register. What do we mean by asset register? A record that clearly identifies all the asset that the business own or that an individual person own. It allows business owner to quickly retrieve information about that particular asset. And it also shows the value of the asset, the date the asset was acquired, and other details that can be computed for depreciation and tax purposes. When you have an asset, there's something we call depreciation. There is a certain amount of money you need to be pulling out on a monthly basis that form part of your account at the end of the month, which are referred to as depreciation. Until when you have completely paid for the value of that asset, that is when you can start talking about a zero book value for that asset. It allow keeping track of assets and providing a fair estimate of their worth, what that asset worth as at that particular time. What is the purpose of an asset register? To keep record of the company assets, their respective value and attributes. Also, to simplify record keeping. It helps you to simplify record keeping. Then, also to complete information on that asset, because when you have an asset register, it has a complete comprehensive information about the asset in terms of the name of the maker, the model number, the serial number, the dimension in terms of length, breadth, and height, then the design. Is it wood? Is it metal? Is it plastic? Then you talk about the dimensions, length, breadth, height, then the current position of that asset when it was bought, how much it was bought, what is the warranty status, what is the insurance status on that asset. These are all detailed information you can find in your asset register. Then it also helps you to simplify monthly and yearly processes with all asset data present in one place. It is easy for you to perform your session in terms of maintenance, in terms of auditing. The other thing is that if you have insurance payment on that particular asset, having a detailed information about your asset will save you from having what we refer to as overpayment of insurance premium, because you might be paying for an insurance premium for an asset that's no longer even available among your assets. The register become a reference for business, can also be used for depreciation purpose, and can also be used to verify the existence of all assets. Then to keep a master list of what is held, where the asset is being and where it is being in use. So asset register framework and hierarchy. Your assets, you can organize your assets in an hierarchy format. This represents a systematical way to structure and organize asset information. It lists all physical assets and categorize them, group them logically. It can be in a top-down hierarchy structure with a parent-child relationship. For instance, we have an asset like air condition. It is an asset. If I want to do a top-down hierarchy structure for that asset in terms of parent-child, I have an air condition. Then the name air condition under parent child, I can have the outdoor unit and indoor unit. These combined together is what make an air condition. The outdoor unit cannot work alone, while the indoor unit as well cannot work alone. So they are child under one name called what? Air condition. The indoor unit, the outdoor unit. And I can still go further down to make other lists out of the indoor unit and make some other lists out of the outdoor unit and give them a tag. Having all your physical assets listed in a well-structured manner streamline your business processes by providing numerous benefits. And what are those benefits when you organize your assets in an hierarchy format? Once you enjoy what is called a single centralized database of all the assets, and that thereby reduce the risk of data duplication. So you don't have duplicate data. Then single source of truth for all departments. So everybody within the organization knows what we have and where they are. So the accountants know that, okay, the number of generators we have nationwide is 20. And even the facility manager knows that the number of generators we have in all our facility nationwide is 20. So it enhances data analysis, provide improved productivity, a well thought out asset hierarchy, provide all employees with quick, easy way to find the required asset data, then better cost control. Having all your assets listed in a particular structure facilitates detailed cost comparison between similar assets. So it is easier. You have a generator in Abuja and you have another one in Lagos, and the two of them are 150 kVA, and you are wondering why is the one in Abuja in 11 million naira and the one in Lagos 10 million naira. But when you compare, you now saw that, oh, the one in Abuja is Kumis, while the one in Lagos is Maikano. I'm not saying Kumis is expensive more than Maikano. I'm just using this as an illustration. So, main strategies in developing an assets register. What are those things that you need to consider when you want to develop assets register? One, you talk about analyzing the requirements. What is the purpose of that asset register? It is important to understand the need of the organization and what information is required. What is the information you want to start retrieving from that assets register? So, facility manager must determine the right balance on what information is required, really needed, and it's likely to provide real value to the organization. Below are three general data sets required as a basis for an asset register. One, management reporting, planning information, and operation management. These are part of what you need to consider when you are trying to analyze what should go into your asset register. Then, developing solution, finding the best option. What are the appropriate technology, data collection format, and data storage method that you want to adopt in order to ease operation and also to support your current ongoing maintenance management system? Plan the asset register. The asset register can be in several different methods. Format, asset hierarchy depend on your what requirements. So asset development solution planning can be unified composite, which is very, very good for small organization that has limited access into a particular geographical area or in the centralized area. Then segmented autonomous are basically meant for a large organization in terms of assets register. These are meant for organizations that have facility in diverse or in many geopolitical environments, in many geographical environments. Larger organizations with individual business centers, segments on a geographical basis, provide focus on individual services and asset group. Then umbrella integration span more than one register or data whereabouts, but a multidisciplinary structure or organization with consolidated reporting responsibility. Then hierarchy could be the system hierarchy, subsystem hierarchy, facility hierarchy, or component and subcomponent. Like the scenario, the example that I gave in terms of air condition, the air condition is the father. Then we have components like indoor unit, outdoor unit. What are the subcomponents? The subcomponents in the indoor unit include the indoor fan motor, the indoor PC board, the bearing of the motor. The outdoor, what are those subcomponents? You talk about your compressor, outdoor fan, you talk about your PC board, and um, protecting unit within the air conditioner as well. So what are those things that you can find in your asset register? The key information are fed into an asset register and linked into facility management strategy plan are, then also let's note, as a facility manager, you need to know and have a record of what you are managing in detail. Without having a such information, you cannot decide on a maintenance strategy or estimate your expenses or your budget. So you need to understand what are the facility, what are the assets that you have at your disposal. Um, what are their current condition? Now, what are those things that goes into your asset register? The name of the asset, capacity, model number, serial number, location, asset condition, purchase price, date of purchase, asset manufacturer, asset description, insurance coverage, warranty information, date asset was placed in service, estimated life of the asset, and salvage value. Then assigned asset identification number. These are what goes into your asset register. The difference between an asset and inventory. You can take the inventory of your asset. The reason why you take inventory of your assets is that you want to know the number of assets you have and what is their current condition. Then, assets are items of value that you want to track closely. Example include your computer, your printer, your phone, your vehicle, your office furniture. Inventory include items that are used once or last only a short period of time. And you also refer to them as consumable. And your consumables are those things that cannot retain value beyond 12 calendar months. For instance, your printing paper, your office, your stapler, your pencil, your biro, these are consumables. The reason why you take inventory of them is because you actually doesn't want to run out. You want to know when you need to place order for another fresh supply. But when you're talking about an asset includes something that can retain value beyond 12 calendar year and you can still recoup money from it. How your asset register could be costing you. And that's why it's very, very key. If you join any establishment as a facility manager, if the company doesn't have an asset register, please, you need to quickly establish one because if not having an asset register in place can be costing you to lose a lot of money in terms of when the asset is being stolen, you won't come to know. When the asset is no longer in service or it's no longer useful again, you won't go to know. And with this, such an asset that have either been stolen or is still occurring, but is no longer what usable. These are referred to as what ghost assets. Ghost asset. The is either the asset has been stolen or the asset has been what mismanaged or it's no longer useful anymore. But you still believe that you still count it as part of your quality asset. According to the asset management resources, nearly every company has a problem with lost assets, estimating that estimating that on an average of 10% to 30% of the assets are in fact lost assets. So what are the dangers of lost assets? Inaccurate balance sheet when you are doing your monthly accounting, loss of productivity because you believe that the asset is still useful, but in terms of giving out in productivity, the asset is no longer performing. Added expenses, you are budgeting for the maintenance of that asset, but that same asset is no longer useful anymore. Inaccurate capex budgeting, you doing your capex instead for you to include that asset as part of asset you are going to replace, but because you still see them as a valuable asset because you don't have a means of how you can determine if the asset is still valuable or it has become a ghost asset, you might still be having an inaccurate capex budgeting. Then asset misappropriation fund, which can be possible. Importance of asset valuation. What is asset valuation? Asset valuation is the process of determining the value of a specific property and What are those things? The value of a stock is a property. Bond, these are liquid assets, is a property. Building is also an asset. Machinery is an asset. Land is an asset. So asset valuation help you to determine the value of a specific property. And this is usually conducted when a company or asset is to be sold, insured, or being taken over. You perform asset valuation if you are going to take a company, you want to buy over a company from Mr. A. Before you go ahead with the acquisition, you need to do what we call valuation. And after that, it also helps you to know the amount that you can offer in order to pay for that particular asset. So method of asset valuation include, this is the easiest cost method, which is the easiest method of asset valuation. It is done by basing the value on the historical price for which the asset was bought. For instance, you bought the asset at 10 million naira. Okay, the amount I bought the asset at that time was 10 million naira. Also, I can't sell that asset cheaper than 5 million naira now. The best I can sell that asset is 5 million naira because I bought it 3 years ago at 10 million naira. And somebody said, okay, why will you put 5 million naira on it? Do we have an inflation increase of that amount? Okay, you can say, okay, the best I can do is to sell it at 4 million naira. So what you are actually using to negotiate as a bargain is the old amount that you used to procure that asset. The market value method, you are comparing that asset. How much are they renting for you to build a three-bedroom apartment now? What will it cost? Now we've already built a three-bedroom flat now, which is to standard. This is the amount we are selling in. The buyer is saying no. The value of this asset currently in the market is this amount. You can't be selling at this amount. You can say, okay, the reason I'm selling at this amount is that okay, those ones you are comparing them with are maybe locally made. Everything about this building is imported. This is having this benefit. The door is bulletproof. The roof is even rainproof. These are all what we consider market value method. Then comparable analysis. Comparable analysis, this method compare the value of the target company to similar public traded company using similar like price to any ratio. For instance, we want to sell a building apartment, a two-story apartment in 1004. Then I have another one I want to sell in Richmond Estate. Then I can be using comparable analysis. Oh, Richmond Estate is more of rich people compared to 1004. Oh, 1004 is more of rich people compared to Richmond Estate. 1004 have access to what? Access to the road network. Richmond, you have to go far. Richmond is built for a serenity. 1004, you can have like 10 block of flats, 10 block of rooms in a single block. So these are all where comparable analysis comes into. Oh, when you go to company, this is the amount they are selling. The standard cost method, the standard cost method uses expected cost instead of actual cost, often based on company past experience. So maybe based on all the number of plot of land we've sold so far, these are the average amount we have been selling there. So these are based on past experiences. So what is the importance of asset valuation? One, right price. You'll be able, when you do your value, when you evaluate very well, you can get a better value in terms of pricing. Company merger, it helps both parties to determine the true value of what the company actually worth, what the company worth in terms of what you can take as the seller, and what the company worth as what the buyer can pay to you as the seller. The non-application, when you do a thorough evaluation, it helps you to tender, you can use it to tender at the bank whether the loan amount you are seeking for can be covered by the amount of the asset. If at all you couldn't pay back that loan, bank will check if that asset can actually stand as a collateral for the amount of money you are trying to take as a loan from the bank. So it's already 6:05 now. So let's quickly observe our 10 minute break. So we'll come back by six quarter past 6. So when we come back, we start from asset storage and retrieval method. Thank you. So our 10 minutes start from now. Hello. Please
Hi.
kindly unmute your speaker if you can hear me. I hear, sir.
Yeah,
Okay, okay. That's what I want to confirm. Thank you very much. So, before we went on that short break, I said we're going to continue with asset storage and retrieval methods. And storage and retrieval method, there are several methods that you can use in storing your assets. Some company decided to use Excel spreadsheet, while some company has asset software management installed that they use. Organizations can face huge risk when assets are operated without asset information. In many organizations, keeping accurate details of assets is an ongoing challenge. This is compounded by one, assets often being situated at different geographical location, poor recording of changes. That is when assets has been decommissioned and a new one is commissioned. So when there are changes, this need to be what? In this need to be what? Recorded in the asset register. But if these are not being done, poor management can come set in. Then out of date asset register, when the asset register are not being constantly updated, these are what you stand to that can also happen. A poor definition of what constitutes of an asset and what is an consumable. So if you don't have a clear understanding of what is an asset is actually you could be misplacing an asset for consumable, and it's possible you could be misplacing a consumable for an asset, and this might affect your asset storage retrieval method as well. So physical asset register, physical asset register. This is the detailed record that itemizes all known tangible assets within a company facility and relevant information about their make, engineering detail in terms of their dimension and other things and other. Its benefits include asset utilization improvement, asset maintenance, scheduling and compliance optimization. It provides defendable decision making in terms of asset replacement. So you know when the asset was actually procured and the reason why you want the asset replaced, because you have a detailed information of how much has been expended in terms of operation and maintenance for that asset over a certain period of time. It facilitates insurance claim. Then it shows the company compliance with accounting and regulatory requirement, because on a monthly basis, you are actually calculating your what? Your depreciation. Then digital asset register. Digital asset register is just like you have an asset software. So, and you've already make sure that all your assets are completely enlisted inside that software. It's just like you are using an Excel spreadsheet initially to manage your assets. And now you now install a computerized maintenance management system for all your assets. So you have to ensure that all the complete company assets go into that CMMS. And with that CMMS, it is easier for you to draw up your maintenance schedule. And at the end of every month, it is easier for you to draw up what are the exact costs you've expended in maintaining that asset. And at the same time, you can still, within that same system, you can still retrieve what are the stock you have on ground and how do you do your restocking level at the same time. So it is an electronic database means of keeping comprehensively record of all known physical and tangible assets in a facility. Advantage of digital register include access to centralized electronic asset data, real-time access, integrating with other facility management software, access to filter and search for an asset in terms of location name, name of the asset and all that. So you can easily log in onto this digital system and search for the particular asset you are looking for. Then the system will generate a comprehensive information about that asset, the name of that asset, where the asset is completely currently located. If when the asset is being moved from one location, it is being updated in the digital asset register. Storage. Storage options are the places where you store all the digital asset information, such as you can use local drive, cloud services, or digital asset management, which is that software. Why backing up option are method employed in creating copies of your asset data in case of loss, damage, or corruption of your system. When you are choosing your storage system, what you need to consider are these. You need to ensure you consider factors such as security, scalability, accessibility, cost, and performance when selecting your asset data, storage, and backup option. Establish regular backup schedule and recovery plan in case of emergency. So you need to consider that, okay, in case there is an emergency, how do I retrieve back this storage from this system in case there is a what? That is what we call system damage. Then asset tagging. You can do asset tagging analog wise and embedded into your system digitally. If you are using a digital system, you can do your tagging digitally. But when you are using analog, this is when you start talking about barcode, when you start talking about barcode scanning. These are completely digital asset information gathering method. But tagging is a process of giving a name that cannot be used by other assets to every individual asset within the organization. Let me give for an instance. Let me take an example of 1004 estate, or let's say Mr. Paul estate. Mr. Paul has an estate where he has almost about let's say 1000 block of flats, and in each of this block of flats we have air condition, we have um, we have microwave oven, we have cooker, we have a gas cooker, we have deep freezers, we have refrigerator, we have televisions, we have a sound system, and anything you can mention in terms of interior of a house. Now, each and every block have all these accessories that I've mentioned, but these are assets to Mr. Paul, even including the building. Now we need to assign a unique name to every microwave within the entire estate. We have a microwave in block one, in block two, in block three. So this estate, and Mr. Paul has this estate in Lagos, and he also has the same similar estate in Abuja, the same similar 1000 block of flats in Ghana. So if I need to assign a strange tagging into this asset, I can say, okay, For Ghana, I will use the abbreviation GH. Then / microwave. I can determine to use any short word for microwave. I can use MW, microwave, and then that GH/MW, which is microwave. Then block, I can use BK for block, BK/1. So that means what I'm saying is that I'm referring to microwave number 1 in Ghana Estate in block 1. So block 2, I can use GH MW, which is microwave, / block 2, BK2 / number 2. That means I'm talking about microwave 2. So the one in Abuja, I can use AB for Abuja. The one in Lagos, I can use LA for Lagos. So anytime I know I'm looking for a particular microwave, I want to check what is microwave 5 in Ghana. Once I log in into the system, if I input this into my software, it is easier. Once I log in and I type GH, it will bring everything about GH. Once I put the word MW, which I've already defined as microwave, it will bring everything relating to microwave for me. This is the method of assigning tagging into your assets. Asset tagging is a process of affixing tags on labels. You put those tags like a unique code on the label, then you now place that label on that particular asset. So anytime you want to do asset auditing, you just go there with your scan camera. If you are using digital, scan camera will pick up that unique code, and if you confirm the asset is still within the company, so it will automatically upgraded the centralized software and confirming that that asset is still part of the asset that the company has. And anytime you are making a replacement of that asset, once you pull that old one out, you have to give that new one the same name that you have initially given to the old one you are pulling out. And in your system, what you needed to do on the system is for you to go ahead and upgraded the name and the year of procurement and the amount. Those are what you need to do on your asset register, showing that the old asset has been replaced with a new asset. It is used for physical assets by providing a way to identify individual assets through their useful life. Example are barcode, RF, that is radio frequency infrared code, alphanumeric. The example that I gave, alphanumeric are more or less like analog. Barcode reading or scanning application, they are more or less digital. Tagging and its benefits allow organizations to assign a unique identifier code to every single asset within the organization. It provides valuable tools for tracking organization property throughout its entire life cycle. It can help to detect theft and loss of assets immediately when you are doing your auditing. And these are all examples of asset tagging you can use. You can use alphanumeric. Alphanumeric is more or less like manual. You have barcode, you have RFID, you have quick response scanning code as well. These are all examples of your scan code. These are all what you can use for your tagging as well. Step, when you want to do your tagging, what are the steps? Assign a unique identification number to the asset. Choose the type of tagging label you want to use. Is it you want to print the unique code on a sticker and place that sticker on the equipment, or you want to use barcode? Enter the unique code into your asset tracking system. Then tag the asset. Data verify and connect the asset tagging system. You have to verify and ensure that what you are placed on that particular asset is actually working with whatsoever scanner you want to be using subsequently for auditing. Asset lifecycle management, already discussed that. Asset lifecycle is what you do between when the asset is procured and when the asset is going to be disposed of. An integrated and multi-planar approach is recommended when developing asset policy. Clear direction of the asset management, to ensure service to asset management and also sustainability. Benefit of strategic approach to asset management: better allocation of resources, improve alignment of assets with service and organization expectation, better integration of service planning and asset planning, improved processes and accountability for capital and recurrent work, more effective use and maintenance of assets. These are all what goes into your asset planning decision. Then, how to determine asset depreciation policy and rate. Depreciation is the amount of money that I said you have to like be removing on a monthly basis to pay up for the assets you have already installed, either in a plant, either in an estate, or either in a mall, because you actually spend money. Possibly you took a loan to get this facility erected. Depreciation is an accounting practice used to spread the cost of physical assets over its useful life. It is mostly commenced from when the asset is placed in active service. The total amount depreciated each year, which is represented as a percentage, is called the depreciation rate. That is, the amount you depreciated for a calendar year is referred to as your depreciation rate. So type or method of depreciation. We have what we call a straight line method. It reports an equal depreciation expenses each year throughout the entire useful life of the asset. And with straight line method, you have asset actual cost minus salvage value. Salvage value is the amount you think you will sell the asset in the nearest future when the asset has already completed its expected life cycle. Then divided by the number of years you want to depreciate that asset. That will give you the certain amount of money you'll be removing as the depreciation rate for every year on that asset. Then for you to determine the monthly charges, you have what is your depreciation rate. If your depreciation rate per annum is 10,000, you have to divide that 10,000 by 12. That will give you the depreciation value on a monthly basis. Then we have declining balance method. This method begins with the asset book value instead of salvage value. So declining balance method is book value multiplied by 1 divided by the useful life. If the useful life is 5 years, so you have 1 divided by 5, and that gives you 0.025 thereafter. So what is your book value? So your book value multiplied by what? 1, the reciprocal of the useful life. Then you have double declining balance, which is book value divided multiplied by 2 divided by the useful life. Then sum of year digit, that is SYD. It allows for accelerated depreciation. It adds up the digit of the asset expected life of the asset. So what this does is that, for instance, you have agreed that you are going to depreciate the asset for 5 years. You can see here that you have decided that you are depreciating the asset for 5 years. So you now have 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. This gives you 15. And that's why you have 15 years. So the number of years you want to depreciate the asset is 5 years. So you have 5 divided by 15. For the first 1 year, for the first year, you are going to be paying 193 on per annum. The second year, you are going to be paying 580 per annum. For the third year, you are going to pay 1,600 per annum. Third year 2, you are going to be paying 1,933. Year 1, you are going to pay 2.9 million naira per annum. This is, and your depreciation expenses for year 1. For year 1 is 966,000. Then divided by 12, that gives you the amount per month. For year 2, 733. Year 3, 580. Year 4, 380. And year 5, 193. These are the amounts you'll be paying on a monthly basis. And this is referred to as year of sum of the year digit depreciation method. Then asset disposal method. I said when you are disposing of an asset, you can be spending money to dispose of, and you can be spending money to recoup. You can also recoup money back into the organization. Asset disposal plan, a plan that documents the activity and cost associated with the disposal of an asset. Generally, part of a comprehensive asset management plan. Then, an activity associated with the disposal of a decommissioned asset, such as either you want to sell it, you want to demolish it, or you are trying to decommission it and relocate it to be used in another place. An asset disposal plan should include forecast of the timing for the future asset disposal, cash flow, as in the amount it will cost you to dispose of that asset, or the amount you are going to get back when you are disposing that asset. Time asset disposal to ensure that replacement assets are operational, ready to absorb the workload of the decommissioned assets, so that users are not inconvenienced needlessly. So if you are taking off an old asset and you are bringing in a new one, you should ensure that it's just like you have an internet facility within your system as an asset before. And this internet asset, this internet facility is a 3G. So if you are going to take that 3G off and you want to bring another internet, it shouldn't be 3G. It should look for something like maybe 3.5G or possibly 4G or possibly 5G. So it must be able to do the work of the old asset and also even possibly surpasses to do what the old asset is doing. It's just like you have a facility that is running on 200 kV generator. If you want to replace that 200 generator, if you can't put a 200 kV generator there, at least you should, if you can't do 250 kV, you should do something like 220 at least that can accommodate that existing load. And even if there is need for future upgrading, you can still add more load to it and still particularly take it. Let's take note of this. Asset disposal plan is an important component of assets of sound asset management plan. Saying disposal cost can be as much as 5% of the full life cycle cost of an asset. So if for the complete full life cycle of an asset you spend like 200 million naira, you can see disposing of that particular asset will cost you 5% of that 2 million naira as a cost. Replacement of an asset. What is asset replacement cost of value? The amount to pay to replace an asset at the present time according to its current worth. Understanding asset replacement cost. As certain assets approach the end of their useful life, expenditure to replace the asset need to be anticipated. You know that your generator is already getting old and you have a plan. So what is the current amount they are selling that type of generator? If they are selling at 10 million, you can add like 25% to it against when you are going to replace it, maybe next year, 2026 or 2027. Explore insurance coverage for that asset. What is the insurance coverage you have on that asset? Okay, maybe possibly if you have like 2 million naira insurance coverage on that asset, okay, you can propose that when I want to buy the asset, I will make a plan for 10 million naira. If I can get 2 million from insurance, so by and large, the asset should be within the range of 11 to 12 million naira within that time. So these are what your replacement plan help you to determine. So periodic asset review is you are doing an auditing of your asset, and this is actually possible. You can do it digitally, you can do it with analog. Analog means you have to go there, start counting the assets one by one. But with digital, you can just go there with your barcode scanner, place the scanner on it, automatically pick the unique code of the asset and update your system. But with the analog, you have to go there physically, come back and upgrade the system you're using, upgrade the asset on your Excel spreadsheet. But with computerized monitoring system, it makes the job easier. Assets are critical components of any business or organization, but tracking those assets can be one of the most time-consuming tasks of the entire workday. Barcode, barcode asset tracking tools can help you to streamline the work time. You can audit thousands of assets within a short period of time. It helps to make employee work more efficiently and productively. The asset tracking tool enable organization to track asset maintenance and location, save valuable times, and eliminate the need for spreadsheets. Ensure proper inventory management. These are what you gain when you are using computerized based asset management. And these are all software in the market that you can use as a computerized asset management system. So when you are implementing your management asset system, You need to ensure that you have what we call a pre-implementation plan. Pre-implementation plan means what is the time, what is the format, what is this what is the format you are going to use, then what are the challenges you might come across during the implementation period. With this, you'll be able to draw a plan on how to mitigate against those challenges. An organization should assess their business need. Why do you need that system? Decide on system implementation objectives. Identify system requirement. Which of the system can you use? That Mr. A is using Oracle doesn't mean I should use Oracle. It all depends on the information I want to retrieve from the system. What will be done with the information from the system? Proceed. Once you have already answered these four questions, you can now proceed to purchase the software. Then you now do what you call implementation. And during the implementation, you have to implement implementation plan execution, issues identification. What are the issues or challenges you might come across? How do you manage those challenges? Change management, transition period, implementation review. After you have already implemented, you do review to know area where that system is actually lagging behind that you also need improvement. Post implementation needs, after you have already implement those systems, what are the useful information you are getting? Do you need to like do an upgrade, or do you need to still train staff more on how to use the software, or you need to bring what you call continuous training? It involves post-implementation involve continuous process monitoring. If the system is actually giving you the expected result, continuous staff training and retraining, quality assurance conducted on the input and the output, continuous promoting the system value to staff, because when you are implementing this, a lot of staff will kick against it because possibly some of them are having the fear of losing their job, some of them are having the fear of the fact that they don't have the required skill to operate that system. So how do you mitigate all these challenges? The bottom line here is that the facility management system aren't just about the software. Every staff should be made to see the value of the system, and hence an organization should put everything in place to ensure the system is used effectively. So benefit of your software, your CMS, effective plan and schedule of your maintenance, manage your work order efficiently, manage spare parts efficiently, eliminate paperwork, enhance productivity, it reduces downtime and repair costs. Then keep a finger on the value of your organization to ensure comply with regulatory standard. It also helps you to increase productivity. With that in place, you can guarantee extended life of your asset equipment. Then loss of downtime. With loss of downtime, you stand to have what we call increase in productivity. With increase in productivity, you stand the chance of having more product to sell to customer. With that, increase in revenue generation, increase in profitability, and increase in return on investment. Roy. So implementation, get buy-in from the management, gather list of the assets you are going to enter into the system, document all your plan preventive maintenance you are going to enter into the software, select the right CMMS that suit the purpose you want to use them for. Add users and user group to the CMS, add use your assets into the CMS and schedule maintenance also. Then during the implementation of your CMMS, you have to do project planning, data migration. You want to migrate from analog to digital. You need to do core configuration. These are jobs to be done by your IT team. Process design, practical testing, and management of result. Because with this CMMS and all this software, the physical appearance of the asset might not be what you are going to see on the software. It could be represented with either notations. An example of notations are these. So the process of how those assets works can be represented with notations in your CMMS as well. What are the challenges you encounter in CMMS? Features and functions. Like I said, the way a pumping machine look physically might not be the way it's going to be on the software. The way a LAN look like physically might not be the way it's going to be on the software. The way a router look like physically is not the way it's going to be on the software. Flexibility, system flexibility, does the system flexible enough for every employee to work with it? Then interface capability, can the system take the storage capacity of what we have initially when we are upgrading to the digital? Can the digital system take the old analog data and still take more of other data as well? Then system security. How secured is this information we generate from the software? Is it prone to data loss? Is it prone to virus? Is it prone to attack from security, from cyber security attack? Then data security, these are all what you need to, because those data are more or less the decision making center for you to make vital business decisions. So difference between computerized maintenance management system and computer aided facility management. CAFM is like the father, while CMMS is just like son or daughter under it. Not to confuse you, a computerized maintenance management system, CMMS, with CAFM. Consider an office in the workplace. Ensuring that the office is properly inspected, maintained, and repaired is completely CMMS activity. Then the knowledge about the staff, the office content in terms of chair, table, locker, including their movement from one office to the other, and equipment connection in terms of electrical, oxygen connection, fire extinguisher communication, are completely CAFM related. So CAFM is the father, while CMMS is just like a sub under it. Asset tracking system speed up audit tasks and conduct asset tracking in real time. This will enable more efficiency in planning, enable scheduling of necessary maintenance or services for equipment at appropriate time. In setting up an asset tracking system, consider the following. How many assets do you need to track? What type of asset are you tracking? Where are those assets located? How many locations do you have? Do you have the asset label? And those labels are having unique identification tagging. What type of asset auditing do you want to use? Is it physical check? Is it physical counting? Or you want to use barcode or RFID tag? Do you need real-time update, or can batch collection be used? What type of reporting will you be needing from the system? These are all what we refer to as asset tracking system. And this brings us to the end of the asset management module today. So you have question number 1 to 14 to attend to as an assignment. You have to do this at your own time and ensure you submit. You can link up with Miracle. She's actually going to guide you on the mode of submission and the period it takes for you to submit. But before we call it a day today, let's quickly attend to some question and answer. So please, if you have any question, quickly, kindly signify by raising up your hand. I'll call on you, then you go ahead with your question. Question, please. I'm waiting for our questions, please. Okay.
All right. Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone.
It's your question, Mr. Gibbs.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So thank you so much, sir, for the class. I'm very grateful. So
much welcome,
I'm a bit confused. What is the difference between an asset register and inventory?
Okay. You know, I said it earlier on. I said you can take an inventory just like you are doing counting. How many generators do I have? I have 10 generators. If you run your inventory, you wrote I have 10 generators. But when you talk about asset register give a comprehensive information about every single unit of asset that you have within that facility. For instance, when you did your inventory, you discovered that you have 10 generators. But with asset register, you have to have 10 different asset register for those 10 generator. The asset
Okay.
register for each of the generator will tell us the size of the generator, the maker of the generator, the power of the generator. There are several numbers of generator you can have. You can have 100 kVA, you can have 200 kVA, you can have 500 kVA, you can have Meccano, you can have Cummins, you can have Mantrack. So, but your asset register will tell us every detailed information we need to know about that asset, which your inventory might not be able to give you. I hope that answer your question, Mr. Gibbs.
Yes, very clear because
Okay,
it was a bit confusing.
thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay, more questions before we call it a day.
Now, I
Okay,
also have another question, please. Okay,
go ahead,
sorry.
sir. Go
All
ahead,
right,
sir.
I would have raised up my sorry for that.
No problem.
Okay, now you also mentioned decomposition. That there are times if you want to decompose an asset,
Yes,
there are times you can decompose an asset by generating an income to the
yes,
organization.
yes,
Why there are times in which when you are disposing an asset, you may end up spending.
yes.
So as a facility manager that understands financial literacy,
Mm,
in trying to dispose an asset, if you check the cost implication and in terms of the analysis, what you're going to spend in trying to dispose such assets, what will be an advisable idea in such situation? When you check the cost of trying to dispose, let's assume that maybe you're trying to dispose a car, for example, like what I'm trying to mention, a car or a vehicle that is inconveniencing the environment. And you discover that the process it will take in trying to dispose that vehicle is a bit cost effective. I mean, the cost is high. So what would you advise as a professional FM to do in that regard when you check it that the cost for disposing that very assets is very high?
okay. When you are disposing of an asset like a vehicle that is constituting a nuisance within
Yeah.
your facility, and you can ask people to start submitting their bid. You can invite, you can ask staff to quote and submit how much they think they can pay for that car. You can also
Okay.
invite external buyers as well. So with this, you should be able to sell that particular car to somebody who give the highest bid. And to me, when you are disposing of an asset, at times, what you're actually trying to do is you're trying to reduce the amount of money you are going to spend out. So if the cost you are going to incur is, let's assume that, okay, you want to get all these aboki to come and dismantle the vehicle and dispose it off. And you know the amount you are going to spend is like around, maybe you're spending like maybe 1 million naira. And this
Okay.
1 million naira is not readily available. You can ask
Exactly.
staff to quote for that car. You can ask external buyer to come and quote, submit their bid. Maybe at the end of the day, the highest bidder quoted for 700,000 naira. You can go ahead and ask him to come around, come and take it off with 700,000 naira. At least you know that your risk is just only 300,000 naira, not the initial 1 million naira you've already had plan of spending before. These are
Okay.
all what you can do.
Okay.
Yeah, you can
Sir,
make it
thank you.
competitive, get a better deal.
Okay. Wow. Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
It's very
you're
clear.
much welcome. You're much welcome. Yeah, Mr. Nyako, go ahead, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, my brother.
Okay, so my question is just very simple. As in,
Okay.
as a prospective facility manager in a
Okay.
real-time scenario,
Yes,
what
sir.
are those software that we use in aside from Excel? What are those software that can be used for asset register?
Excel is an analog form of keeping record of your assets.
Okay,
There are
okay,
several numbers of software in the market that you can use. But what will actually determine the software you are going to use is this. One,
okay,
what is the information you want to retrieve from that software? What information do you want that software to be generating for you? That is one. Then two, do you have the financial capacity to procure that software? Because there are some software that can be running into millions of naira, procurement alone. And this software, we need a yearly license renewal. Do you have that financial capacity? Those are the things you need to consider before you can just venture into buying any software. Then, what is the complexity of your facility? You are managing just a 3 building. You are want to start running a software. What for? It doesn't meet up. So you need to consider the cost. You need to consider how expanded your facility is. If I have a 1,000 lettable space estate in Lagos, and I have another one in Abuja, and I have another one in Ghana, I have another one in South Africa, then I can start running software so that I don't necessarily need to start running to Ghana every time to come and do my auditing. The people in Ghana can do the auditing. The system will capture everything here in Nigeria. They can see everything in real life.
Yes.
Yep. Thank you, sir.
I appreciate, sir.
You're much welcome, sir. Any other question again? Okay. In the absence of no question, we're going to meet again on Friday by 5 p.m. where we're going to discuss facility condition assessment. And before then, let me say enjoy the rest of the week. So we meet again on Friday. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All
You
Thank you, sir.
right. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone.
All right. Thank you, too.
Thank you.